Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes Bull. People might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal!
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, Wolves fans. It's been a lovely sunny week. I think the whole world is improving on the fact that we are pretty much safe now, and the gods, football and elsewise, are looking down on us. In true, it's end of term vibes at the minute. There's only myself and Stu on the on the fancast tonight. We've had some technical issues, some car issues, and just general people being in different time zones that have left us with just a two-man show for now. But apparently we should have some more troops turning up soon. But I guess a really good place to start, Stu, as you were there last week down at Portman Road. What was the vibes like at the end of the game?
Before we talk about vibes,
Yeah,
since it is end of school and we are in charge,
yeah,
let's just get things right.
Are we going to do cage fighting? Is that what we're doing?
Oh no, we'll put
Okay.
there we are, Mike Evans, handsome gents. There we are. See, truth. I mean, most you well, say jumping into the fire, jumping into the breach when all is needed, and when you bring toys to school. Look at this. Look at this. This is piece of art.
So for the audio listeners, is that Johnny Five alive?
Yes, it is. This is Johnny Five. Johnny Five, available on Temu and AliExpress. Anyway you want to get it. Articulated, look.
It's a problematic film, I think, in 2025 eyes, right? With a few people that were in that.
It was never malicious, though, was it? I didn't know for years. I had no idea. What we're talking about for the kids, that in Short Circuit, an incredibly white man played an Indian guy, and he put the accent on. It's problematic now. It was done with love. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to change the character. There was something behind it. It wasn't done for that, but there we are. Short Circuit and Short Circuit 2 are great films, as was A Great Day Out at Ipswich on the East. So yeah, like I said on the review show last week, it was just, everyone was just having a good time because I think it was already pretty much done anyway. So it was like, well, we'll go here, let's not lose, and see where we go from there. And then obviously it didn't start great, and you get into that half time and you think, okay, well, we'll see what happens. It was still weird though, because like no one was slagging anyone off, no one was going, oh well, this is typical Wolves or anything like that. And I think it was all a case of, we saw that we could score at least one against them and get something, but obviously these subs made the difference, and he's just proven what a good manager is.
Yeah, and I guess that's a really good place for us to start, right, with looking at Vitor's press conference today. He's done a bit of a rallying call, hasn't he, to the fans. Some of his words today talking about, we might have pretty much secured survival, but it's not done yet. And that was definitely the feeling that we got at the end of the game last week. We saw all of the celebrations, Stu. But I guess the elephant in the room that we might as well talk about while we're talking about Vitor's press conference is there's no if, buts and maybes like we had with Gary previously. He's told us on Friday before a game on Sunday that we know Matheus Cunha in the starting 11 on Sunday. Thoughts on that?
It's just glorious, isn't it? I mean, if that fool had been here, he would have been lubing himself up from Monday morning, wouldn't he? He'd be slippery when wet by now, waiting for Cunha to penetrate him again. Great. It's what we all wanted. What makes more sense. And like you said, if he had brought him back, it would have set a dangerous precedent then, that if you want to behave like an absolute twat just because you got a bit of talent, then you go ahead. But you look at the points return, like we said over again, that you don't get 10 points and then mess the team up for no reason. So I don't know what I expected. I thought he'd do this anyway. I didn't think Cunha would come straight back in, because he's the way he's been talking about Menezzi, and rightly so. Just the fact that it functions as a team now, and it shows something that I listen to every possible podcast that's on my on my feed normally. Like Totally Show, obviously the Ramble. I even went on Guardian Football Weekly and like everything possible just to listen to what anyone was saying about us after a win like that, even though it was against Ipswich and we shouldn't be in this situation anyway. But a lot of them were saying the same kind of thing, that, yeah, this is a Wolves team that is a team now. It's not a one-man band. It's not a sideshow with one main character. It's something else. And yet Strand Larsen is performing better than expected, I think. And his goal return is superb. But you look at the overall thing. I mean, Bellegarde didn't have a great game. No one really had a great game in the first half anyway, full stop. But it's a team that's built on something. And I was literally just going to say it's a band of brothers, and Maximus right in the chat just said exactly the same thing. And it is. And it might be all the cliches in the world, but it's true. And maybe it was like a backs against everyone together, backs against the wall kind of situation of, oh, yeah, our talisman's messed us up here and put us in danger, and we'll show him. Maybe that's what it is. And you look at the reports of his behaviour behind the scenes, and that not just for players, but various people and various media outlets have reported the same thing. And you think, well, there's no love lost there, and you can kind of see it. And if there was more behind that, the glasses that the kid threw on the pitch, it's just a happy coincidence that Strand Larsen put them on. I would have loved to believe that the theories that, yeah, he's done this in defiance, but it really wasn't. But the fact that people are thinking that way kind of says it all for me. That, yeah, this group of players is more together without him there. And seeing him, I mean, I'll be there obviously on Sunday, so it'll be for the people watching at home and through various means, of course, that we'll see numerous shots of Cunha on the bench throughout the game, I presume. I want them all screenshotted, please. I want them posted and tagging me in it, especially if we're in a winning position come the end of the game.
Yeah, definitely. So where I sit in the Billy Wright in the family enclosure bit, that's where all the subs warm up, and that is something that I'm looking forward to seeing, because something I put in the group chat earlier on this week is that I've noticed and whether this is just COD psychology or, like you said, Stu, whether it's just this band of brothers where people are coming together, there's been a distinct change in how the substitutes are even warming up now. You know, there's a bit more ferocity in their sort of, opening the gates and all the other stuff that you do on a Sunday morning. If you're playing Sunday League, then they're not just sort of going through the motions. There's a definite sea change, I think, in the attitude. And Vitor even sort of went into tactics, didn't he, during his press conference, talking about, I think he had quite an intelligent question asked him about, has the team shape changed in Cunha's absence? And his words were, yes, I think so. Reading from the press conference now, it says, tactically, when we're attacking, we're doing things with different movements. I'm asking different things than when I started here. So when you start to put more and more things on the system will show you what we can do a lot of and how we can do them differently. Stu, is that just a really nice managerial way of saying we're now a team?
Yeah. And he's right, because even T-Bag was saying the same thing about Cunha's attitude and his off-the-ball movements. He didn't do anything. He never did anything. But he was the talisman, so people left him alone with the revisor that, yeah, you score goals for us. That's fine. You don't have to do anything else. Which everyone seemed to accept. Fans alike. Yet when Strand Larsen scores goals and doesn't do anything else, uproar. But yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. That he doesn't want to come out and say, obviously, for the valuation stuff, and we still do need to sell this bloke at the end of the day. So he can't slag him off too much, even though everyone else can. And I think he just knows what he's doing, doesn't he? He's clever, he's incisive, and he's right more than anything else. He's just right.
And talking of subs bench, Dean, after rebooting his Mac, has joined us. Nice to meet you, mate. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, so sorry, mate. Literally, I walked around and it defaults and goes into full shutdown. I was like,
Yep.
you know how slow they are when you do that, and I was like, literally, I come at 51 minutes past. I was like, fuck, I need to reboot the lot. But I do have some breaking news. Vitor
Brilliant.
Pereira is currently in the Dog and Gun having a pint. So
Of course it is.
We haven't even got the points yet.
That is some breaking news I've just been made aware of. He's had a picture with my auntie, and they are in the Dog and Gun having a beer. So
Where's that?
Just off Tetnall. So the Tetnall Road opposite the green.
Oh yes.
Just on the corner. So yeah, he's in there having a beer. So we've got some breaking news, but I am late. Sorry.
That's all right, mate. That's okay. Yeah, we were of course talking about the elephant in the room, as I mentioned earlier, about Matheus Cunha and how basically we know 2-3 days in advance that he won't be playing on Sunday. I think me and Stu are in agreement that it's the right decision. What's your thoughts on it?
Absolutely the correct decision. You can't change a winning team. It's Taylor's old as time. And I know just as I came on, you said we look like a team, which is exactly true. It's not the Cunha show where you've got 11 blokes, 15 blokes if you include the subs that come on, all pulling in the same direction. They know what's required of them. They know their jobs. We look well coached. We look a functional football team. So somebody else has to lose that shirt for him to then get it back.
Definitely. And are we in sort of a, I guess, Dean, I'll keep you talking, mate. Are we in a sort of a better situation now, of course, than where we thought we were going to be? But do we get to have a preview of what Vitor wants to do long term with these last 8 games, 7 games, whatever we've got left? Do you think that's what we'll do for the rest of the season?
I'm going to give a politician's answer here. Is yes and no. I don't think he has the players to do fully what he wants yet. Because look, Manetzi isn't a number 10. I know he's much forlorn, Marmite, etc., but he is bringing a certain skill set that Vitor wants in the team somewhere. So I think this 1v1 stuff that Vitor spoke about in his press conference is about wanting players that can commit other players, be good one-on-one, which does beg the question, how bad is Carlos Forbes in training for him not to get a kick when on paper he is the one that the pace merchant that should be good in 1v1s. The same as when Rodrigo comes on, that's why he brings him on, because he brings that pace, he brings that kind of, he can just jump in and out. But yeah, I think we will see bits, but I don't think we'll see quite the full Vitor Pereira form until pre-season.
Brilliant. And in true, we're going to plug it later, but in true charity match styling, talk of rolling subs, we've got our international correspondent, Jafo's just joined from all the way over in the US of A. How you doing, mate? How are you?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. So we are just talking about Matheus Cunha and the fact that we know for a fact he's starting on the bench, but that's of course not the only Cunha news that we've got this week. There has been rumours aplenty about whether or not he's on his way for that 62.5 million, and we've just had a really quite interesting comment from Ernest Wensley here, who said, Jafo, isn't there a real chance that he, as in Cunha, will still be with us till January at least? It's hard to imagine any club putting up 62.5 million on the table for someone who's missed 6 of the last 12 games. What are your thoughts on whether or not Cunha's definitely gone, Jafo?
I think it's difficult because given when he signed the contract, he would have probably been nailed on to leave for that release clause. But I think his attitude afterwards, and I think he'd seen a repeat of his behaviour from the first Ipswich game against Bournemouth in the Cup, that it showed that he hasn't got maybe the mental resilience to play for a top team. And I think it will take something like a Man United where they went and got Bruno Fernandes sort of in a January transfer window where they were desperate. It might end up being one of those situations again where they probably should sign him in the summer, but they wait until the last minute and sign him in January. And we have another sort of 6 months of Cunha and trying to keep him happy in and around the squad.
Yeah, what do you think, Stu? Do you think there's a chance he stays, or do you think he'll go?
I can't imagine a world where he's still here. Just for the fact that he's a... See, I'm muted. I'll calm myself down. I'm not going to get angry tonight. No. because of what he is and what he's done and the way he's acted, and then the fact that he's denying the things that he said and all his little silly Instagram posts and things like that, I think they'd just be. That's the thing. Would you accept like 45 for him if someone came in? I mean, regardless of what it is, I know someone's mentioned installments there. Every transfer is installments anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Literally everything is. It wouldn't surprise me if someone tried it on at like 45 and kind of cited, yeah, look at he doesn't want to be there. You want to get him off the books, blah, blah, blah. That wouldn't surprise me at all. If you got to the stage of it looking like he wouldn't go, would you accept less than 60? I probably would. We know we're not going to spend all the money anyway. I probably would in this case, but I can't see him being here in September. Not really.
No, the rumor mills well and truly are moving. I think there's rumors about Newcastle, Liverpool, as well as Man United, and Man United might have to sack another tea lady or something to make the room for another signing. But Dean, what do you think? Do you think there's a chance he stays, or do you reckon someone is going to take that gamble?
His agent's reportedly in the country already, drumming up the interest, same as he was in January, trying to get people on board. I think someone like a United will want to make a bit of a statement, and it's been obviously, like you said there, it's Delap and Cunha isn't really out the question for United, which on the face of it transforms their attack completely. You've got two players that have tried and tested performing at this level, delivering numbers. But then you have, I read somewhere that Newcastle see him as potentially an 8 as well. They see him as a centre forward, a 10 or an 8, which is like kind of crazy, like a Joe Linton style. So as part of their midfield three, so the more advanced one. So which also you couldn't, if you've got Bruno, you've got Joe Linton, and you've got Cunha, it probably would work as a midfield three, which that's the kind of formation Brazil play, and that's where Cunha kind of played in the Brazil team. It's a 4-2-3-1/4-3-3. But I think my biggest thing is I want the transfer done that first window before the Club World Cup. I want it that start of June window done so we can then plan our... He's done now. He's done with the club. The fans are done with him. There's talk of booing him on Sunday, which I think is ridiculous because I'm never a fan of booing your own players, but there is a chance that people could be put off, but really, he in his head and his agent's head, they'll be working on getting this done as soon as possible, so he can go and have his holiday, knowing he's got this new start after his break at a new club.
Yeah, definitely. And Danny P in the comments here has said, Jafo, over or under 10 matches. How many until Cunha gets a red card or suspension in a Man United shirt? What do you reckon?
I think he probably could be second or third game. The way his antics are, they'll be straight winding him up. They'll know exactly that as soon as they put a Man United team under pressure, they'll be forced to play in a certain way, and he might react in the same way that we've seen in a Wolves shirt. So it could be very, very early into his Man United career if he goes there.
Yeah, Stu, and I saw you. You know, don't play poker, mate. I saw you pull a face when Dean talked about not booing your own players. What kind of reception do you think he'll get? Because he'll come on, won't he? You'd imagine on Sunday. What do you think? We're going to get some happy clappers, or?
I think it'll be overwhelmingly positive, unfortunately, because people are stupid, and they are. And we know that exactly the type of people that we're talking about here. And you can't be booing your own players in a game. Afterwards, yeah, 100%. I think the best ideal situation is no one does anything.
That's it.
It's just silent. Because that's what I'll do. You clap off whoever goes off, and then deadly silent, nothing. And that's kind of what he deserves. Really, he doesn't deserve. If you take his goals have kept us up. Remember, and up until halfway through the season when he lost his mind, he was fine. So, but something's happened to him. He's acted this way. It's not our fault. It's his. Yet, why would you give him the satisfaction? Why would you give him any kind of ammunition that you know full well that he'll use? And to come out and talk about true fans, his true fans will be there anyway. I'd imagine he'd get cheers, but he ain't getting nothing from me.
Brilliant. And just probably the last thing on Cunha. Really good question here, and I know we've got a couple of people on the panel that can probably answer this question better than I can. But either you, Stu, or Dean, I'm looking at you two, I guess, for this one. Does the 62.5 million payment have to be up front? And that's obviously from the chat for those listening audio.
No.
Simple as that. It just needs to cover that.
Well,
over a certain period,
right? They're always very nuanced in these clauses, so there will be some set parameters that it has to be within a certain period. But some release clauses stipulate it has to be everything up front. But this one is confirmed. I think Liam Keane confirmed it that it's not, so that it can be broken down. There probably is a sub contract under that it has to be broken down in set amounts. But yeah, as far as it's been reported, it doesn't have to be paid up front.
Yeah, it's a bit like was reported about Gibbs White as well, where it was 15% sell on clause in the first year if he was sold after within 12 months, and now it's 10% of any profit they make when he gets sold for silly money. So each transfer is different. There's no rule for one, rule for all. So yeah, Liam Keane said the same thing. Or Dean said so now. Pennies a week.
So a bit like with Matheus Nunes, are we hoping that Man City overspend again on another ex-Wolves player and we get something on the back of it?
Yeah, put him at left back.
Yeah, they can have two wing backs that weren't wing backs before, right? Pep loves a fullback though, right? So that's probably a chance. Jifo, something I picked out of Vitor's press conference was how he. I think the phrase he actually was, he likes to be with the supporters, and Dean's already given us some breaking news that he's literally in the pub right now with Dean's auntie. Whether or not they're there together, I'll let Dean comment on that.
Now my uncle's there as well.
So, what's your feeling towards Vitor now? Obviously, for me personally, I feel a lot of the media are pussyfooting around the fact that our start to the season was dreadful for many reasons, but most of them started with Gary and ended with O'Neill. But they're talking about it being sort of a difficult start. But what's your thoughts on Vitor, the man, as well as the manager?
Well, as a manager, I mean, numbers only speak for themselves, and I'm not totally always a numbers man, but when you look at it, and he, in his very early start to his Wolves career as a manager in the Premier League, he has like the highest amount of points of any manager in this first period has ever achieved. That speaks for itself. You know, you have to say, hands up for the man. You know, fantastic job that he's done. And as a person, he seems like he's somebody who's done the hard yards in terms of management. He's gone around the world. He's learned different styles. A lot like, say, like a Roy Hodgson did before he came and did the England job and was quite successful with Fulham and the Albion when he was back in England. It's someone who respects being a manager. It's not sort of something that's been handed to him in a golden chalice. He's gone around the world, learnt the game in all different styles and ways, and he's come over, and that shows in his personality as well. He's very down to earth. You know, he accepts that he could be gone in a year's time, so he wants to enjoy being in the Premier League and prove to himself and to everyone else that watching that he can be a Premier League manager. And I mean, so far he's doing that, and hats off to him. You know, a plumb to everything that he's done at Wolves so far. He's achieving what he said he was going to achieve, and he's turned this whole season around from being 19th in the league to now 17th, 12 points clear. He's a phenomenal turnaround, and I say well done, Vitor Pereira, for that.
No, definitely. Yeah, I think just on my point, and something Maximus Wrights put in the chat is VP the teacher, and of course that was a comment that came out of the press conference today. But Dean, I guess let's crack on now and look at the weekend's fixture. So we're playing against Spurs, who are still currently 14th in the league. I mean, the fact that we can look up the league instead of down the league now has made my week a lot better. But what are your thoughts on Spurs this season? What sort of things are we looking out for on Sunday?
They're just a bit Spursy, aren't they? to kind of they're just a bit mad. Like Ange Ball, so it's called, is just a bit mad. It's frantic. It's high line. You probably couldn't be more different than Vitor in like kind of the approaches. From a height perspective, anyway, and how high lines and that. But I think Spurs have got some good players. Their pace, they're kind of, it's all action. So it'll be a tough game, but at the same point, there's nothing to be scared of there. They're 14th and down there for a reason because they're inconsistent. And touch wood, we have a decent record against Spurs at home. So I'd like to think, I think the last 2 visits, they haven't beat us since, was it Nuno or the Vertonghen one, the header? I think, but they haven't beat us for a while at home. So I think we can be confident. We've won 3 on the bounce, potentially going to be a record 4th, because we've never done it before in our history. So we know what happens. 2 minutes in, James Maddison scores. But yeah, I'm quietly confident is what I'll say. There's nothing really scary about Spurs, especially with Solanke still out. Is he still out?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that they were and just spoken about rotating because they could potentially do 120 minutes next Thursday. So I think you're going to see players like Davis and stuff at the back. So they're there for us, really.
Yeah. So on Spurs news, team news, there's a very good chance that Destiny Udogie and Mickey van der Ven are going to be rested for this game to look forward to their return leg next week. So as well as that, Kevin Danso, who I think we've didn't miss a trick by not getting him. I think we've dodged a bullet there. And Dejan Kulusevski are out, which means that I would imagine that means one of my least favourite players in the league, James Maddison, who's a flat track bully, and no one's going to tell me anything different, will likely start this weekend. But Stu, are you worried about Tottenham this week, or what are your thoughts?
James Maddison's got some kind of voodoo over us, hasn't he? Unfortunately, and we haven't had one of them for a while. And I'm probably more, I won't say worried, but there's just something about this game that everything's going so well. It's been sunny. It's more than likely going to be pissing down, just because it's match day and that's just the rules apparently. I'd be more confident if we were playing a team that weren't rested, because knowing how bad they've been all season, and you look at the fringe players and they've got something to prove and play well against us, get a decent result, then that puts them in the frame for next Thursday in an important game to literally save their season. So I'd rather have got a healthy win last night, to be honest, but they didn't. So I can see this being a 1-1, something like that. I don't think it's going to be a classic, and I think because they are so Spursy and everyone expects them to be awful against us. But like Dean said, you look at them and they do play that silly high line, and we have got runners in the team now, and it looks there for the taking. But how many times have we been in this situation where it doesn't work and it's the opposite way? But then we didn't have Vitor then, did we? So but I think, I've had a feeling of a 1-1 draw all week, so I'm going to stick with that.
Okay. Well, we'll do everyone else's predictions later on, but Stu's already gone for a 1-1. Looking at the table, Jafo, if we were to pick up the 3 points on Sunday, with Tottenham on 37 and we're on 32, is there a chance we aren't just going to be stuck in this island of 17th that we found ourselves on this season?
I think it very much depends on what West Ham do. I don't think there's much chance of us overhauling the deficit that we've got to sort of like where Tottenham are. I think it depends on how West Ham and what they want to do towards the end of the season and how they want to develop their style going into next season. It all depends on them. So if they continue to play badly because of their trying to adapt through tactics and through a new ideology, then yes, I think it's very possible we could finish 16th. I think anything above 16th, even still with the form that we've been in, is a bit daydreamy, and I think a bit too far out of the reach at the moment. But weirder things have happened, and this is Wolverhampton Wanderers, and we've had that much of a shitty season so far that it's got to come good at some point, and you never know, we might finish 15th. But 16th is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and I think in the chat there, Maximus right. So he said people talking 13th and 14th is mad in his opinion. 16th is possible, depends on others. We'll probably draw with Spurs. Something, Dean, that's just coming to me before we move on to the weekend fixtures that Vitor said in his press conference. He talked about the changes in defence that he's made since joining. On a scale of 1 to Sylvain Ebanks-Blake when he came in from Plymouth, just how amazing has the introduction of Agbadou been since January?
It's been really good. And I know that in January there was people clamouring for Cody and this kind of nonsense about in the fucking dressing room this and you can bring morale that. You've got exactly the same as that in Agbadou. He's a natural leader of men, but he's a competent Premier League footballer, which Conor Cody is not. So he is probably our signing of the season, even though we only signed him in January, because he's settled straight at the back as though he's played in the Premier League for years. He's commanding the back three. He loves the duel. He loves the battle. And even though he goes a bit awry sometimes, he's not scared of that risky pass to get us up the field, to break the lines, like the second goal away at Southampton. He's not afraid to try it. The odd one does fly out of play, which you're going to get that with players that try these things. But overall, he's been a revelation back there, and it's revolutionised the way that we can play that back three system that Vitor wants, because he can cover the ground, he can win his duels, so he can free up either Totti to push on the one side, or he can free up Doc on the other, which Doc was popping up last week with those underlapping runs that he always used to do from right wing back, doing it from right centre back. And I have noticed there's been a little bit of a tweak in the system lately where Ryan's come inside and Totti's gone more out as left back, just to kind of go the old inverted fullback nonsense, which Stu loves. But it just gets Ryan on the ball a bit more and in the middle of the pitch, which that's where you want him to be with his skill set. You want him to be just getting past players, committing players. And it's that 1v1 thing that Vitor keeps talking about. But that all comes from the confidence that Agbadou brings at the back.
Yeah, definitely. And I think something that's obviously another hot button topic that's going around at the minute is, has football become too metronomic? Has football lost its risk takers? And I do think that one of our biggest risk takers is our big central defender, because I'm with you, Dean. I'm all for him trying these long-ranging passes. Let's go a bit more vertical, a bit more front to back to front, a little bit more quickly. Totti still makes me nervous because every now and again, I think it was you that texted me, Dean, that said he had his Rockports on in the last home game. But I'm a huge fan, and I can't remember many central defenders, Stu, that has impressed me as much as Agbadou in his time here. What about you?
Yeah, if it wasn't for João Gomez and Andre, he'd be player of the season by an absolute mile, regardless of when he turned up. Like everyone, like Brett said in the comments there, we had the worst defense in the league before he turned up. So I know one man doesn't make a difference that much, but he does. And even when he was injured, like just the way the defense had settled down because of him being here, even though he wasn't on the pitch, we didn't go back to being ridiculous again. Like everyone was just calmed down a little bit. And like Dean said, he's a natural leader, and he said that himself in his interviews and stuff. And if Semedo does go, I wouldn't be against giving him the captaincy, even though we know what happens with that cursed armband. It's going to be broken eventually, but he is the one who's stepped up. He's come in, probably a few home truths as well, with his age and experience. Yeah, regardless of first time in the league and whatever, he's one of the best signings in the Premier League era, considering the situation we were in. Not in January, just full stop. He's been immense. And I don't think even you look at the reports and everything, and what does he bring and his stats, and it doesn't really matter. You look at him now and you look him with your eyes, and that's not someone who we signed in January for cheap. That's someone who could easily have been bought 50 million quid in our splurge years.
Yeah. I think after the first game I saw him at home, I was giving him the Virgil van Dijk comparisons, just because I've not seen many Wolves centre-backs sort of scare strikers away like he does. It's got huge VVD vibes for me. But looking now at the weekend, hopefully you can see that, Jifo. And I always like to follow your lead with this. When we're talking about you find a quid in your pocket and you want to put a bet on, only do it if you can afford it. Only do it if you can afford to lose it. But where's that pound going this weekend for you, Jifo?
If I'd probably go with Mo Salah to get two or more goals and Liverpool to beat West Ham. I think that announcement that he's going to stay, it's going to buoy them towards winning the title, and they'll want to get it done as soon as possible. So I'd say him to get at least a brace, and then Liverpool to beat West Ham on Sunday.
Yeah, and that would do my running in my FPL team. I'm trying to stay in the top 10 in the Wolves Fancast League, and I'm busting a gut to try it. So I'm in an iron over who my captain is this week. So you might have just convinced me there, Jafo. But Dean, how about you, mate? You find that quid in the back pocket, or you've just come back from Mackey's and you've got a bit of change? What are you sticking it on?
Palace to beat City away. They always tend to do well up there, don't they? Mm-hmm. I think as a bit just to get some odds from there, I'll probably do that. But then you've also got, I think someone's already mentioned it in the comments actually. Arsenal will be thinking about the Bernabeu, so Brentford in a bad team to back as well. Wouldn't be a bad double actually.
No. And round us out then, Stu. Who are you going for?
For similar reasons as already mentioned about eyes on the prize. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but Southampton to get a point against Villa. Just so that they equal the worst ever. Villa could quite easily they might even rest Martinez. You don't know, do you? They've got to do something next week to get that tie back. They should still beat them because they're awful. But Adam Lallana's new manager bound on me. Who knows? But for a quid, might be a waste of a pound, but Southampton to get a point against Villa.
Yeah, and I think for me, lump on Brighton winning by 2 or 3 goals at least against Leicester, who look like they've given up even more than Southampton. And with the season that Southampton have had, I think that's going some. Dean, we've got some quite big news to plug, haven't we, about things at Fancast Towers here. I don't know if I'm going to hand over to you, but I'll bring it up on screen as well for those watching. But we're of course talking about the annual Fancast charity match. So Dean, tell us more about it.
So we've changed it this year. Rather than doing Mind, which is a fantastic mental health charity, we've gone a bit closer to home. So we're going for the Good Shepherd, which is over the road from Molineux. So can't get much closer to home than that. Our usual stuff we'll be playing. We've gone a bit later. We've gone like a peak time this year. So we've gone 7:00 Friday night. Probably under the lights by the end of it because of the time of year it is. The end of May, weekend after bank holiday, I think that is. But it's also half term. So, by all means, bring the kids down. Watch us make fools of ourselves running about. Jafo will be playing as well. But we're doing it this year. Last year, we played against content creators from other clubs. This year, we're trying to keep it as close to purely Wolves as we can, because ultimately, we are Wolves Fancast and we're doing it for a very local charity. So we want to try and drum up as much noise in the local community as we can. The Just Giving pay, well, it's not Just Giving, it's Enthuse with Good Shepherd. So we'll be setting that up soon. And I've only set that up today because I had a call with them. But yeah, we'll be sharing everything. We will be doing auctions for places. So anyone in the comments or listening that wants to get involved, we'll be doing a blind auction, possibly some raffles as well. We want to try and get as many people as we can involved. That it's just such a great experience to play on that pitch and be in that changing rooms. It was my first time last year, and it was a brilliant experience, as well as seeing all the lads, and you're all doing it for the same cause. So it's a great day. It's a great event. And watch this space. We'll be releasing more stuff over the next few weeks.
Yeah, brilliant. So, Dean, you mentioned Jafo, you're playing. For those listening and watching, what other Fancast favourites are definitely playing this year? Jeffo, who else is booked in?
So, as far as I know, we've got some newcomers this year. We've got Richard Griffiths. He's going to be making his debut alongside Josh Lem 2.0. The return of Little Dan, the absolute demon and goal scorer from last year. We've got Josh Lem 1.0. I'm trying to think who else is going to be joining us, but there are a load of us who are going to be involved. I think some ex-Fancast people are going to be involved as well. I know Gully's probably going to be involved. And there's going to be a load of Wolves content creators that you know. So, as Dean said, once that link goes up, if you can afford to give something towards the Good Shepherd, it's a very, very good local community, and Wolves do some stuff for them as well. And we want to try and raise as much money for them as we can. It's a local charity, something that's a little bit closer to home. If you can get to the game, please do attend. We love the support. We love all the backing. And at the end of the day, we just go out there and make fools of ourselves. So come down, have a laugh, and if you want to meet us, have a chat with us, talk about Wolves and everything that's going on in that, come and have a chat. We're more than welcome to talk to any of you.
Yeah, definitely. And when it was agreed that it was going to be the Good Shepherd, the first thing I did was Google it and look it up. And if you read any more than maybe one of the testimonials that are on there for what the work they do, and you're not at least tearing up, then you're a different man to me. Let's put it that way, because the work they do is incredible, and it's a brilliant charity, and it's local to the area, and it means a lot to the people that it helps. So yeah, if you can, when those links go out, even if all you do is share it, that would be incredible, and really push the cause forward. So yeah, charity match is on the 30th of May. So like Dean said as well, there'll be a chance to come down and watch the lads that are available that weekend look silly. And there's a comment there from Maximus, right, saying Gully coming back like Nunes. So that obviously means he's going to play right back, you'd imagine, right?
Yeah, he ain't got the pace for that.
So I think that only leaves us to do predictions for this weekend. We've already had Stu's 1-1. Stu, is Manetzi going to get that one for us?
Oh, imagine he gets man of the match, runs them ragged, just to see reactions. But yes, he will.
Brilliant. And Dean, what's your prediction, mate?
2-1 to Wolves, Manetzi to score, and then go in front of the North Bank, point up at Gully, and then just call him a wanker, and then see you later.
Jeffo?
You know what? I was going 2-1. I was going to say Strand Larson and Agbedu to get one, but no, I'm going to do Manetzi as well. I'm going to do Strand Larson and Manetzi. He points at Gully, says, "Come down here, you show me how it's done, bitch boy."
So now, even though I'm not a betting man, now I might need to put a couple of quid on Manetzi to score now, because it seems like we're manifesting it, as the kids say.
Don't manifest him.
I think I think I'm one of those idiots that thinks that 15th is potentially on, and I see us winning at the weekend. I think we might make Angie's weekend even worse. For those that aren't watching, we are getting a special guest appearance from Gully, really enjoying some cheesy music, I believe, from a few years ago. And Gully, I know you listen out for your name, mate. So it's at 43:47. You want to come onto the YouTube channel, and when you're here, press like everyone else should have by now.
It was actually he was dancing to Rolling. The very opposite of cheesy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The very opposite of cheesy pop.
So we've had a few predictions in the chat, and I think we've had a 3-3. The fact that we can joke around now about predictions says where we've come in this season. I'm going to go with a 3-1 to Wolves. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, but I reckon we might be 2 or 3-0 up by about an hour in. I just have a really weird, sneaky suspicion. I'm often wrong. Although when I met Dean for the first time in person the other day, I did get West Ham 1-0 right, just as we were entering the subway. So maybe I'm on a roll. So we've got all positive predictions. Manetzi to score, whatever odds that you get on that, it's worth sticking 50p on. But yeah, thanks for everyone that's joined us tonight. I think Josh here has put in the comments, Josh Lem. Not sure if it's 1.0 or 2.0, but he said, who would have thought this was going to be a fairly meaningless game 2 months ago? And I think the answer to that is pretty much nobody.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, it's really nice to be able to look up the table instead of down it. And it's a great job VP's done while he's been here. And long may it continue. And just to confirm, it was the original Josh Lem, the one and only. So, yep. So it's thank you from me, Dean, Stu, and Jafo, and up the Wolves.